Morning, y'all. It is week 6 for Stay Classy and Choose Love. How are you? Hopefully you've had a good week. I will tell you, I got good rest last week. It it was good. Kind of the chaos of summer travel and um subsided and allowed me time to just chill out a little bit. I think I'm saying it like that because I don't think I spent a ton of time chilling out. Still working on a house a ton. It looks so good though. I'm like super excited about it. So it was productive, but I finished a book and relaxed a little bit. I got to take Todd out and celebrate his birthday with him, which was fun. On we actually had a really great date night Saturday night. We went to dinner down in the Crossroads, and okay, so I'm gonna tell this story really quick, and then I'll dive into the stories of Jeremy and I. So, I feel like when you're in the midst of like something in life, you just, at least for me, I look at everything and kind of tear myself apart, and not in like a negative way as much as like, where do I need change? Where do I need to do better? Where do I need to love myself more? Where do I need to acknowledge what I'm doing well? Like all the things. And I will admit to a certain amount of like um self-consciousness that I have felt surface since since I've been going through this. And part of that is, if I'm being honest, like I feel like I'd let my health go a little bit. Exercise has always been really important to me since um my early adulthood, and I still exercise regularly and things of that sort, but my diet had really bad, and my stress levels had just been so high for so long, and I had my physical in May, and the healthcare provider in me is always like, "Labs don't lie," right? Like, my cholesterol is the highest it's ever been. Just need to make some change, and I don't I'm good. I'm making good change. I'm moving in the right direction. But I think part of that is, like, it leaves you feeling a little self-conscious about how you appear, at least for me. And I'm telling you a story because so we go on our date night. I am in full-on summer mode. Like 90% of the time, my blow dryer might get pulled out once a week. So it was kinda nice to get dressed up and, nothing too crazy. We went down to the Crossroads and we this great little bougie boutique hotel down there called Crossroads Hotel, and so we were gonna grab a drink there, and then I had dinner reservations at a restaurant nearby, and, um, then we were doing this really cool thing. It was called, Rooftop Cinema Club that was showing, like, a movie outdoors, just really, really cool vibe. So kind of just, like, a pretty chill night, nothing too fancy or elaborate, just good time together, which I think both Todd and I had been craving. So we get to Crossroads Hotel, and I mean, Kansas City is a World Cup city. We are hosting, and it is taking over the city, which is fantastic. But the hotel was buzzing, which was kind of fun. Not a really crowded, but buzzing. But we found 2 seats at the bar. It's like we were invisible to the bartender. Both Todd and I are very respectful people to service workers, and we sat there and we watched him serve, I think, 3 other couples that sat down after us before he sat down to us. And what is it about that moment that, like, gets in your head? Like, I looked at him and I was like, do we look like bums? Do we look like we're not gonna pay? Like, why why is he ignoring us?" And eventually he got us our drinks, and it was fine. It was fine. We only had one. It was kind of partly because of time. We had sat there for almost 35 minutes waiting to even be served, and we could have left, but there weren't a lot of options to go to, and we had time before our reservation, so and it was fine. Again, both Todd and I tend to be pretty patient people, so it was not a huge deal. And then we went to dinner, we had great service at cute little restaurant called Boulevard Tavern, food was excellent, like, just fantastic. Um, and then we could walk over to this rooftop cinema club, which, like, such a cool vibe, and, they show old movies, like, we watched, 500 Days of Summer, which is, like, an early 2000 movie, and but, like, bar with rooftop games and stuff that we got to chill out with, and then, Adirondack chairs that had great cushions in them, and just sitting outside, and it was great, and it was such a fun night. No, we Ubered home. We Ubered. I'm a huge proponent of just being safe compared sorry. Maybe is that whole, history of being arrested the first time I ever drank. I'm a huge proponent of, like, if you're just having one drink, even if I prefer to just Uber. So, we grabbed an Uber home, and it was it was hopping downtown by the time we left. The movie got done, like, 11:30, 11:45, so not super late, but anyways, we get in our Uber, and it's about a 25-minute drive back to our house, and our Uber driver was fantastic. Great conversation the whole time. She was super delightful. I found out she's in school to be a therapist. I was like, "Oh my gosh, we need good therapists." Like, just great conversation. She's like, "Well, what do you guys do?" And Tom and I were both like, "Man, we're kind of in, like, life transitions," and great conversation. Anyways, I'm telling you this because she drops us off. I get out of the car, and I go to open the garage, and she rolls down her window, and she goes, "Oh my god, I didn't see you when you got in the Uber, and you are just beautiful." And she's, like, driving out, yelling in my suburban neighborhood at, like, midnight. She's like, "Just beautiful. You are beautiful." It made my night. It totally, like, I'm still, like, riding this high that this random Uber driver made me feel so good about myself. It was great. It was fantastic. So, like, to the bartender that ignored us at the start of the night, to the Uber driver that made me feel so beautiful, and Todd was like, "Aha, tell her all the time." It was a really funny moment, and, I don't know, I think I wanted to tell that story because I think we often underestimate how powerful a compliment can be, if that makes any sense. Like, it was just great. We have yeah, it was a great day night, and it's been really good, and um, yesterday, so Sunday, kicked off, like, the start of just some serious momming on my part. Tom always laughs at me, and he's like, "You mom so hard." I'm like, "I know." Um, and yesterday I timed Everett started club swim again. He's a phenomenal swimmer, and so we had a swim meet, and I had a time for it. So I was outside with him, like, for 4.5 hours at this giant pool facility here in town, and, um, we today is a golf tournament, hence the apparel, and tomorrow there's another swim meet, and then Wednesday there's another golf tournament, and then we kinda get to relax. Todd and I are actually headed down to Tulsa for a Folds of Honor event that I'm speaking at on the 4th of July. So, anyway, it should be a good week. I'm kinda looking forward to it, but I'm not looking forward to the heat. So we have, like, we are in a heat advisory. Sunday or Saturday, I guess, we had some rain come through, and it brought with it this, like, massive heat front that just it's oppressive. When I said copper around the block this morning, it's already, like, just thick heat. So I'll be out there today for a good probably 6 to 7 hours for Everett's golf tournament. It'll be great. It'll be fun. I love it. Um, but I do think I'm, like, a little sentimental right now about Everett. Oh, I'm gonna get emotional. And isn't it, like, parenting is such a, um, interesting emotional roller coaster of, pouring your whole heart and soul into another human being for the sole purpose to let them go, right? To put them out in the world and let them be their own human beings. Um, and I will often say that Everett was my saving grace and, the biggest blessing in my life. I have always enjoyed every stage of parenting him, but it's interesting, and I have always and maybe it's because of the loss of Jeremy or because Everett's my only child, I've been always very just hyper aware of, transitions in parenting. Like, I remember before he started kindergarten just being really emotional about it, right? Like, Everett was just such a happy-go-lucky kid, and we would have really good adventures together, and we still do. We have great adventures together. We love to travel. It's great. But it's interesting. He starts driving in 3 months, and he keeps reminding me of this, and, I'm excited for him. Honestly, I'm excited for him to go on this next step. I trust him. He's a good kid, um, but there's something in the back of my head where I know that driving moment for him is going to be really pivotal in his step to manhood and independence, where my role is going to really shift. And the way that he needs me is not going to be the way that it looks right now. And I don't know. I just am emotional about that. That's okay. I was talking to my sister about it a couple weeks ago. I said, the thing about every stage of parenting is I'm always emotional to let go of a closed chapter, but then the next chapter is just as beautiful in its own ways, right? Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just so as I'm complaining about like being in the heat every day with him for all the sports this week, there's this part where I'm also soaking it up. I'm enjoying it. I love watching him play golf. Love it. It's super fun. So, anyways, that's kind of what my week looks like. But um, I hope all of you have some great plans for the fourth. Let me take us back to Jeremy and I's story, or my story that is about Jeremy right now. And I want to talk about, I wrapped it up by talking about his proposal and us getting engaged. And I, I would talk with my students about this because I'm like, at the time, I really was not very empathetic to my parents or Jeremy's parents and their concern for what we were doing. As an adult now, I cannot imagine my daughter coming to me at 19 years old in the midst of her second semester of college or second year of college and saying she wants to get married and move halfway across the country to follow this boy that she's madly in love with. Um, but that 100% is what I did. Um, and my mom, I think I said this last week. I can't really remember. Initially, when it happened, when we got engaged and I came home from the trip, um, it was not excitement that I came home to. It was more of worry and concern. And my mom sat me down and had a pretty serious conversation with me. She first made sure I wasn't pregnant, and that's why we were doing this. I said, "Mom, I'm not pregnant. I promise you that." And then she had a really intense conversation with me about how important it was that I finish school, that I finished nursing school. She just was like, as a woman, it is important that you don't sacrifice yourself or your dreams and you have something to fall back on if you ever need it. Like, make sure you finish school. Even I I didn't wrap my head around that conversation at the time. I think I do better now. And I appreciate it. I was like, of course, I want to be a nurse. I'm going to finish school. Of course, I'm going to make this happen. But in all reality, that was kind of like the least thing from my brain, if that makes sense. I had a wedding to plan and all the things. And you know what? Little girl doesn't just dream about her wedding. And so I said, and by the end of that conversation, I feel like my mom, I don't want to say got on board because I'm not sure she ever officially got on board as much as she just made the decision to support me in this decision. And so and I'm still in school. Like I have to go back to college and I had a week at school. And then during that week, Jeremy called and our whole, my whole goal in really wanting to be married to him was doing it before his first deployment. And um, Jeremy called me and said, "We can either get married in 2 weeks or we can get married when I come back from my first deployment. That's how my leave is going to work." Turns out that was not true, but it's fine. That's what he thought. And as a private in Ranger Battalion, you don't ask a lot of questions. And so I said, "Oh my gosh, okay, I guess we're getting married in 2 weeks." And I called my mom and I said, "We need to do it in 2 weeks." Like I think we got engaged April 14th and we got married April 30th. So a little less than 2 weeks. Anyways, we have Fort Leavenworth kind of near us, and so I called this beautiful historic chapel. I had called hoping it would be available, and I don't know what I was thinking. It w it was, but at, like, 10 o'clock in the morning is when we had to get married because that's the only time the chapel was available. So, we have the chapel identified, which was, like, the most important thing to me was to get married in the church or in a church, and then my mom and then it was my mom. We went straight from viewing the church to David's bridal because I needed to pick out a dress. And I remember being at David's bridal and it was my mom. I think my sisters were there, some of my college friends. Jeremy's mom was there. Everybody was there. And I had identified online prior to going like dresses that I thought would be appropriate. And we pulled all the dresses and um, it felt like I don't know, the dress is just so important, or you think it's so important for your wedding day, right? And so I am trying on dresses and I'm hating everything. Hating everything. And literally this Saturday, we're like doing all this stuff. And the next Saturday is when we're supposed to get married. So like if I don't find a dress during this day, I'm kind of like shit out of luck. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like I have no idea. Um and we're trying stuff on and I'm hating it all. And then literally, and then Jeremy's mom was talking about stuff, my mom was talking, and like all this like chaos is happening around me and people are trying to be helpful, but and being helpful, it just feels like I'm overwhelmed. I'm standing in the mirror trying on one of the dresses and it's like a okay dress, but I don't love it. And you should love your wedding dress, right? And I'm like in the mirror full and you watch hives, li literally hives just start across my chest and spread down my arms and all the way up my face. And then the moms really started to freak out. And they're like, and I mean, looking back on it now and knowing what I know, I bet I was like on the verge of a panic attack. I don't know if I've ever like really had a panic attack, but I might have been close there. And um I just remember being like there, like in my ears, and Jeremy's mom was on the phone with her dad trying to figure out what medicine to give me because he's a pharmacist. And my mom is like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, like, and I have this like attendant helping me for the day who, God bless her, she was fantastic, but also just very aggressive. And she like steps in the dressing room, literally unzips the dress on me and is like pulling it. And I'm like, just stop. I just need everybody to get out of the dressing room. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. And everybody got out and I'm literally there in like a corset type thing and underwear. I just I like dropped to my knees and I prayed hard about what I was doing. Like, what was I doing? Here I was, this type A driven individual that wanted all these things in life, to be a nurse, to have a stable family, to do this, and all of a sudden I'm like making this decision to marry a military guy that's in a really dangerous job, that's going to be gone all the time, that like is going to be halfway across the country from my family. Like, what am I doing, God? Like, give me some sort of direction. Like, I feel in my heart of hearts I'm doing the right thing, but truly, am I? Am I doing the right thing? And I remember I just dropped to my knees and said that prayer, like questioned God, not questioned God, but asked God for like guidance and strength. And I took some deep breaths and I just kind of remember this really calming feeling coming over me, and just thinking to myself, it's going to be okay. And I don't know what was going to be okay as much as like, it's all going to be okay. And I had one more dress to try on, and I tried that dress on, and I remember putting it on and just smiling so big because um, this it was the dress. I felt beautiful. It's what I needed to be confident, and it felt like a God wink of, yes, my child, you are doing the right thing. Go follow your heart. Choose love. Choose love. So I did. So it was a crazy day of planning the wedding after that. The Davis Bridal will forever be one of my favorite places. The lady that did alterations that day, she's like, our rush alterations are normally 6 weeks. And I was like, yeah, I need this in 6 days. God bless her. She got it done. The wedding came together. It was fun. Um, it was chaos in the most beautiful way, right? Like riding that high of just everything was happening so quickly that I hadn't really had time to pause. I remember so it was an early wedding, 10 o'clock wedding, um, out at Fort Leavenworth, which was funny because it also happened to be the post neighborhood garage sale, which like massive amount of cars would come to. And so when I got done getting my hair done and I was trying to get on post because I didn't have tags, I wasn't technically military at that point. I got stuck in this long line. And so I have a veil and a pink tracksuit. And I was trying to get on post And finally I get out of the car and I like turn around in the crowd. I'm like, I'm late for my wedding. And literally like the car's divided and I got on and I was almost like 45 minutes late. And God bless Jeremy. There's this picture of Jeremy where he just looks sick to his stomach waiting for me because I think he thought I had changed my mind. I just was stuck in traffic, babe. I was on my way. Oh my god, so it was great, and Jeremy was on leave, so I think he was home for, like, a couple weeks after the wedding, and then he had to go back to Savannah, and I needed to finish school. Literally, I think I got married on Saturday and came back and took a final for my first semester of nursing school, like, that Wednesday or Thursday. Just wild. Wild, wild. Um, and so the plan was he was gonna go back to Georgia, find us the place to live. Oh, no, we went we drove down there. That's what we did. We drove my car because Jeremy didn't have a car that he took with him. So we drove my car down to Savannah at the end of his leave so that he could and to look at apartments. That's what we did. And he took my car, a little Ford ZX2 Escort, which totally broke down outside of Macon. That was another thing. The alternator died when we were like almost there. Just I remember the alternator kept it was like a slow death to the alternator, and my dad is fantastic with cars, so I kept calling my dad, and we ended up, like, getting at least to, like, this podunk hotel on the way in between, like, Macon, Georgia, and Savannah, Georgia, which just is a very desolate area of the country where, um, I was not accustomed to yet at this stage of my life, and luckily, we were able to break down in a hotel parking lot and stayed the night, and then his parents he was still on his parents' AAA, so we called their AAA, and literally my first view of Savannah was from a tow truck driver named Bubba. Like, you can't make that stuff up. Oh, man, I had forgotten all about that, and we didn't know the town, we didn't know anything, so we, like, took it to some random shop by the mall because my thought process was at least while it's being fixed, we could go into the mall, like, it's fine. Like, it got fixed quick, it was a lot of money, and we were so broke. We were so broke those first couple of years. Um, but then we looked at apartments, and then I flew back to Kansas City for a couple of weeks, and then, I was gonna move our stuff down there, and by our stuff, I mean hand-me-downs from our parents and the few small items we had gotten from the wedding and things of that sort. My parents, like, gave us a couch and some like, very basic I had my bedroom set furniture, things of that sort that they let me take. But that in itself, like so he's, like, off playing I like to say he was, like, off playing army. So he had a couple weeks in Savannah, and then he was going on some training exercise where he was gonna be gone for a couple weeks, so, like, we organized it where I, he had found our apartment and got our apartment, and so I was, literally supposed to arrive at the apartment, like, the same day he was gonna get done with his training exercise. So this is the thing about our parents. I'm so thankful for them during this era because I don't think anybody was excited about us getting married, but man, they were ready to love us through it. Um, so his parents had a Jeep Liberty, and so they were gonna let you take that to pull a trailer, like a U-Haul trailer. And then my dad had given us like a bunch of credit card points to buy a second car so that we could both have a car. And so my mom and brother drove down the Cobalt and followed Peggy and I, Jeremy's mom. His dad couldn't come with us, so it was his mom and I that drove the Jeep down with the U-Haul. You guys, I'm now 20 at this time. I had a birthday. I'm 20. I'm 20 years old, and I am driving a U-Haul across the country with my mother-in-law. And the U-Haul company here in Parkville was so great. They gave us a bigger U-Haul, and I just than what we had rented. I think trying to be helpful, but honestly, it was too big for the car, and so I couldn't go very fast without the whole thing just kind of, like, swaying, which it just was this long adventure. I remember, like, stopping in, like, Chattanooga for the night and laying in bed and just feeling the swaying like I'd been on a boat all day, but instead I'd just been hauling a trailer. It was an ordeal. His mom just couldn't do it. She tried at one point, and she couldn't get above, like, 40 miles an hour on the highway, and I was like, "Hey, I'll do it. I can do it." It was great. It was great. But I do remember Jeremy one time being like, "Yeah, moving yourself is super easy." Oh, okay. How many military wives can, like, relate to their husbands thinking things are so easy that we do while they're off playing army, but it's fine. So, um, I got moved down there and it was good. Our moms got us situated. Um, Jeremy had been living on, like, literally just a futon in the apartment, so all of a sudden, like, our apartment was feeling more like home, and, um, our parents left, and this is gonna be the last story I tell you, but, um and I mean, I was kind of a homebody at this point. Like, I went to college 30 minutes from my hometown. I would come home every Sunday to do my laundry and have dinner with my family. Like, I loved my family a lot. And I will talk a little bit more about them because I think the years that I got away from my family were some of the most pivotal in developing me and who I am. And I still love my family, but there were some unhealthy patterns and cycles that had been developed in my family that by me getting away from that, that was really important to me. So, but anyways, I will talk more about that as the story uncovers. But I was really sad when they left. Like when the moms left and my brother left, I was really sad. And I remember just laying on the couch and being sad. And all of a sudden, the reality of the fact that, like, I just moved from Kansas City, Missouri to Savannah, Georgia. I was not enrolled in a school. I didn't have a job. Like, what? I was so empty and lost. And Jeremy, was so sweet, and he's like, "I'll get you a milkshake." Milkshakes are a thing. And our apartment, we were across from a Sonic. Like, if the windows were open in our apartment, you could, like, hear people ordering a Sonic. So he's like, "I'm gonna go get you a strawberry milkshake. You stay right here." And I mean, I don't even have time. Like, I'm crying. I'm so sad, and, I don't even have time to really think about it. And so he flies out our 3rd floor door, and I just hear him running down the stairs. And then I, like, really cry because he's gone. Because I didn't want him to feel bad, just kind of, like, having the freedom. And I mean, I am hysterically crying, and all of a sudden, that door flies back open, and Jeremy is missing a flip-flop and is covered in mud, like, up to his waist, just covered in mud, and I was like, "Oh my god, babe, what happened to you?" What happened to you? And he is laughing so hard, I can barely understand him. He goes, "It's a swamp. It's a swamp out there." And I was like, "What what are you talking about?" Like, our apartment complex had, like, in between our apartment and where the Sonic was, there was what turned out to be marshland, which we from the Midwest did not really understand what that meant. And Jeremy had attempted to run through the marsh. I wish I had seen it. I wish I had seen it. Uh, 'Cause depending on the tide, like, it depends on how deep it is, and we never found that flip-flop. It was gone. But we both learned an important lesson that day, that although it just looks like tall grass, it is marsh or, like, swampy little. It wasn't big, but it just was a little patch of it in between the road and the parking lot that he tried to run through. I I'm giggling right now because on one of my stories, I got a text from one of our friends that was like, "I'm in the gym and I'm listening to this, and I can barely keep it together because you were laughing so hard, I am laughing." Sorry, Charlton. It was funny. It was really funny. So Jeremy takes a shower, we find some other shoes, and I think we walked to Sonic together after that. And yeah, thus began the adventures of Georgia of us together. And I feel like that's kind of a good place for us to wrap up for today of just the storyline because, um, gosh, it was good. It was good. I still love a good strawberry milkshake, by the way. It is without a doubt one of my comfort items. probably continue to tell you some stories about strawberry milkshakes, but Sonic ones particularly have a soft place in my heart forever. So, anyways, okay, that's it for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for laughing along with me. And thanks for just being on this journey with me. I continue to just be really, gosh, I must just be emotional today, humbled by um, texts and messages of love and support. Um, Truly, it's meant a lot. And Todd and I were talking about it yesterday because I have not actually I'm not super invested in how many views or how many watches this get, but it means a lot to me who it's touching. And like, feel free to share it. I don't know that that's really important to me though, but um, thank you, those of you that are listening. Like, truly, I appreciate it. Anyways, so I hope you all have a fantastic 4th of July. Stay cool with all this heat, but more importantly, stay classy and choose love.